Hey guys, today I'd like to talk to you about beliefs, limiting beliefs, and how we can let go of them. I mean, when you think about it, beliefs make up our world. You see, if you believe something to be true about yourself, whether it be positive or negative, you begin to seek more of it. It becomes like a validation for you. It becomes an evidence for you to think that this is true for where you are right now. So if you believe that you are not good enough, or you are not worthy, or you have a certain belief about money or relationships, it means that we begin to live by that belief system. That belief system gives us that internal dialogue, the feelings that we experience and the behaviors which actually give us our results. So in all of those, begin to make up our reality. Now, the interesting thing about the beliefs are that they're all subjective. Beliefs are what we think is right or what we think is true. So even if we know that it's completely illogical to have that belief system, we will begin to still experience it, think it, and believe it, and kind of know it in our mind and keep on producing the exact same results. Once again, whether it be good results or bad results, the brain is not discriminating between the two of those. But the thing is, when you think about the belief itself, we know that that belief is something that we believe to be true about ourselves or the world, but it's also, we now know, an illusion. It's an illusion that we're holding on to. Now, if that belief is negative, then it's going to be really important to be able to understand how it came about, the intention behind it, and how we can let go of it. So let's just consider them that. If we have a limiting belief, what is the intention behind that belief? So if you have a negative belief system about yourself of maybe not feeling good enough and not being worthy, what's the intention behind it? Why would our body run such a thing? So it usually comes down to a protective mechanism. So it's usually a way of trying to keep safe. So if I don't believe I'm good enough, that means I'm not going to put myself in certain situations where I be a relationship, whether it be socializing or going for that job that you kind of want. But because we believe we're not good enough, we don't go for those things, and therefore we won't fail, we won't get rejected, and we'll remain safe. So I want you to consider, if you do have a limiting belief, think about right now that belief system and what could possibly be the positive intention behind it. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't believe that our brain, our body, would do something in a negative way or in a sole purpose of just to do something negative. I absolutely believe it can have negative behaviors or consequences by having that belief system. If we don't feel worthy, it's not going to make us feel very good on the inside. It's not going to allow ourselves to live a life that we want. So I totally understand that the behavior that the belief produces is not cool. But the intention behind whatever belief that we have, which is holding us back, there's going to be something positive there. Now that's going to be one of the first kind of tips to be able to understand it, rather it just being an unconscious process that we just run, think, and believe in every way. If we can step back and just separate the behavior of what I believe creates and the intention behind it, we're going to get a greater clarity as to why what we do. Now, if we figure out what that positive intention is behind that belief system, we can start to retrain how our mind works to actually make it work for us. So let's just say the belief is not being good enough, and it's, say, a protective mechanism to keep us safe. We then have to go on the inside. It can take some time. You can use mindful awareness hypnosis from our hypnotists, or our online audio programs that will be available to download soon. It can take time sometimes, as I said. I mean, at the end of the day, putting time into it with consistency is going to get you the results. Therefore, it's worth that investment in time. But if we consider going on the inside and communicating to that part of us, which runs that belief, our unconscious mind, I mean, after all, if you could change, you would. If you cannot change, it must mean our brain is running on autopilot. So we must go on the inside to be able to change how we act on the outside. So rather trying to change the external world around us, we actually go on the inside and speak to our unconscious mind in a way that is supportive and understanding of that positive intention. And then speak to it with new ways of how you'd like to be, whilst keeping, for example, that safety, but with a new behavior. Now, the more times you communicate with yourself, you're developing that connection with yourself and therefore becoming more in the land with where you want to be. Your unconscious mind jumps onto that. So first of all, we've got to communicate with ourselves with this belief system or even the behaviors that we're doing, which we do not like. We've got to say, look, I appreciate that you are trying to do this, whatever that may be. It could be safety. So the positive intention, but I also understand that there's another way of keeping that safety by doing X, Y, Z, and then you are pre-teaching your mind and body. But this is the new way of doing things. So the more you go on the inside, the more you are going to be able to change your results. Think about it like this. It's like you are educating a child. If there's a blank, I've said this a few times, you walk into the room and a child or your child has created a picture for you and they painted this picture, but it so happens to be on the wall behind you and you think, oh my goodness, it's my wall. I've got to repaint it. I've got to get it back to where it was. But think about the child's intention, wanting to do something good for you, something beautiful for you. So the intention was good, but the behavior not. So in the same way, we've got to communicate with ourselves as if it was a child, try to do good things, but doing it in maybe not the best way. So as we think about that belief system that we only hold in our mind, as I said, it's subjective. It's not something which is real for everyone. So therefore, it's a construct of our mind, and therefore we can deconstruct it and retrain it to where we want it to be. Now, the other idea is that letting go of limiting beliefs and changing them is to look for counterexamples of how that belief could possibly be not true. You see, belief systems are, it must be this way. I believe I'm not good enough, and I know it. So then we look for examples where that is absolutely opposite. Now, those examples could be in ourselves. For example, you look for past experiences where you were able to do something and everything was fine. You were good enough, meaning maybe we got up today and you put your clothes on successfully. That means you are good enough to put on your clothes, and therefore you look for loads of examples of where you've actually been doing things. Absolutely good enough on even better than that, or depending on what you are working on. But if you have a limiting belief, you look for counterexamples of your past experience which disprove that belief system. It may not let it go, but in conjunction with the first thing I said of getting in touch with yourself and then looking for counterexamples, you are breaking down that limiting belief. You are learning from it, and you are really breaking it down. You are looking for counterexamples, and you can look for counterexamples in any situation as well. So you can look for, if you had the belief that money leads to evil, you then look out in a world where people have utilized money for good. So therefore, that belief that money leads to evil can no longer truly exist because you found examples where that has not been the case. So you begin to look on the inside of your past where it contradicts that limiting belief. And also other examples in the wild. So if it's maybe about weight issues or relationships or health money, whatever it is, you look for counterexamples. Now then we've got another tip. We ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? And let's actually break it down. Think about this. Think about when we created those limiting beliefs. What kind of mindset were we in? Were we under emotional stress? Because if you're under emotional stress, you can't make the best decision right there. You made the best decision, but you could at that time. But in retrospect, you can think, actually, there are other decisions I could have made. So we consider when that belief happened. So a question I ask myself as I think about this limiting belief. What is the root cause of this belief, which once learned from, will allow the belief to disappear? So then I just close my eyes and consider and backtrack in time when that belief came about. And then as I think about that event on the outside, just looking at it, what can I learn from that, knowing that I was a very young maybe at the time? How can I learn from that situation now as an adult, with all the knowledge and resources I have now, with this knowledge and wisdom, with the age that we are? What can I learn now which I didn't have the resources to deal with at that young age? So we are really learning and learning and learning. Those learnings will keep us safe. And if we have safety through learnings, we no longer need to have that limiting belief our unconscious mind will look for other new ways of thinking about the world, or whatever the opposite the belief would be, or whatever it is for you. And then finally, we've got to think, well, maybe we are running belief systems generations old. So maybe if our father or mother told us something, that means if that was their belief, which they imposed on us, when did they get that limiting belief? Maybe their parents told them. Maybe it's about their circumstance at the time. So then we can continue to backtrack when it could possibly be. I mean, it could be generations and generations. It could have been what our parents went through, or the teacher went through when they said that sad thing, or our friend went through when they told us we're not good enough. I mean, you get the point. We consider how they may have come about that belief, and then we've got to think this. If that's their belief, I don't have to keep that belief anymore. That's not mine to keep. It was just tried. That person or that situation tried to impose that belief on me because they thought it was true, but it doesn't have to be that way for me. So we're really thinking about learning, understanding the intention behind the belief, looking for counterexamples, and understanding how that belief came about, and realizing that that belief maybe not even be ours. And also the one prior to that was maybe that belief came about when we were very young and we didn't have the resources to make a better decision. But now, as an adult, or whatever age we are now, as we think about that, we can learn from it. So step back and understand, deconstruct that belief, look for those counterexamples, and go on the inside to make those changes. So I hope that gives you food for thought about maybe some limiting beliefs you may be holding. You can do this for behaviors as well, how those behaviors came about, the intention behind it, looking for counterexamples. And it may not completely go straight away. It can take time. However, it's going to break things down, mix things up, and really allow you to look for new solutions. And more importantly, your unconscious mind to look for more solutions. So I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. Always know that you are valuable, worthy, and good enough. Now, if you don't believe that just yet, because the symptoms, the issues are just getting in the way, and you just don't know what to do to let it go, guess what? We are here to support you. There's what we do for a living. That's our job. And if you want to get able to get to the hidden core of your issue, so you no longer have to welcome working on those issues and all the symptoms in the whole world that you are experiencing right now, the real pain, in other words, the dread, the anxiety, the lack of belief, the lack of confidence, all those things. If you finally just want to let it go, get to the hidden root cause. Whatever you do, hook the call or not get to it. But if you do want to be able to get it with us, we'll provide you the hidden root cause. We'll discover it, find it out, and then give you the strategy to let it go easily in 4 weeks. That's really what happens each and every time. That's what we do. Have a wonderful day. Go to mindfulawarenessllc.shop to book a call with us, and then we'll be able to assist you on your very own transformation. Speak to you soon.